Hey everyone, I'm Katie Mathews, and I am a mindfulness and meditation coach. I'm an associate with Strategic U Hub, and I'm excited to be here today to talk to you about mindfulness and meditation and how it can support you with your ADHD journey. So, let me give you a little bit of background about myself. First of all, I've been practicing mindfulness and meditation for the bulk of my life. I started when I was about 2.5 years old with visualization. My mom was a little bit of a trailblazer and got me started early. I then was meditating fully by the time I was 8, and I sort of continued with that journey over the passage of time. By the time I was about 16, I want to say, I was taking classes in meditation um, and fully immersed in becoming dedicated to my practices. I continued, like I said, over the course of time. And then eventually I became a mom. And being a mom sort of began a whole new uh, kind of meditation, mindfulness journey. Because I wanted to integrate my children into my practice and help support them on their journey as well. So for the last couple of years, I've been formally coaching as a mindfulness and meditation instructor, and it has been absolutely wonderful and rewarding. Fast forward to now. So I was diagnosed with ADHD myself, um, and so I can completely connect with some of the challenges that um, come up for people with ADHD. I have combined ADHD, so I kind of get a little bit of the challenges from both um, subsets of ADHD. So the inattentive, of course, and the hyperactive ADHD. There are several kinds of strategies that you can use to begin to integrate meditation and mindfulness into your life if you have ADHD. It really depends on, of course, the kind of ADHD you have. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the different types of ADHD and the types of challenges that you might face with this particular type of ADHD, and then, of course, how you can begin to integrate meditation into your your daily practice or your life in general. Um, so let's get started. So with the types of ADHD, so if you have inattentive ADHD, you are probably having difficulty focusing, getting distracted easily. Maybe you find yourself daydreaming. And so that you might not feel like meditation or mindfulness could be for you because you're so distracted. Um, I would say that in this instance, mindfulness, you can really just sort of start with very short sessions, right? So that you're not required to focus for a large chunk of time or even a medium chunk of time for that matter. It's more of like a short first session. So you could try activities that are mindful, like walking or doodling. Really lean into things that are sort of in your comfort zone for a minute, right? So you're probably someone who has learned to doodle or, move a little bit, right? As a coping mechanism, as a way to sort of, um, as an outlet for your energy. Uh, then we have hyperactive impulsivity, that kind of ADHD, right? That's like you're always moving, you fidget, you can't sit still, you have a little bit of impulsivity, probably. Um, and people think, okay, well, so I've got this kind of ADHD, which makes me not capable of sitting still. Well, mindfulness and meditation it's not a requirement that you sit still, right? Um, to be mindful or to meditate. There are walking meditations, there are moving meditation forms of meditation like Tai Chi and yoga. These are all forms of being mindful and meditating that you can use if you are someone who likes to move and needs to move, right? So it sort of opens up this door, right? For some of the limitations and limiting beliefs that have been put on mindfulness and meditation that, like, oh, you have to sit still, you have to, sit down, have your hands on your legs, be, legs crossed and your eyes closed. No, that's not always the case. And you can definitely develop a form of meditation that works for you and that makes sense for you. And then if you have combined ADHD, like me, many different things can work. It could be a moving meditation, like I suggested, like, walking or, yoga, tai chi, or dancing even is a really good one. People find it particularly cool to just sort of dance and incorporate movement and get mindful in that way. It allows you to really observe your body and the energy in your body and observe your thought processes in a different way than being still. Um, for me, with my combined ADHD, because I began practicing so young, I have definitely learned to be still. And I actually lean into being still now. I'm really comfortable being still and being mindful with the breath and being okay and really comfortable, like I said, with just being quiet in my body and quiet in my mind. But, that has taken years and years of practice, right? And so if you're just beginning your journey with mindfulness and meditation and you have ADHD, then that's probably not a reasonable expectation of yourself out of the gate, right? That's sort of a skill set that's, trained and honed over time. Um, but what I would say is starting with very small increments of time is like definitely the first thing that you want to do. Um, the next recommendation is to be consistent, right? So if you know that you, for example, get up and do a morning walk, um, then start incorporating, whether it's 3 minutes of mindfulness and meditation while you walk or a minute when you start. It's just starting somewhere with that short sort of burst where you start to just really observe how you're feeling inside. And that's the biggest part of mindfulness and meditation is the observation of how you feel in your present moment and learning to observe the thoughts that happen in your mind. And those are a lot of thoughts. If you have ADHD, there's a lot of thoughts. There's a lot of buzzing ideas and creative energy. And if you can learn to observe those things, even for a minute or two, instead of engaging and interacting with them, um, that's a really good thing, a really good starting point out of the gate. And just know that as you continue your journey and as you progress on your journey, increments of time increase, you shift, what you're doing. Sometimes maybe it's doodling, sometimes it's movement. Sometimes maybe you make the attempt to sit down or lay down and be still to the best of your ability, right? I know for me, even when I lay down, which I often do when I meditate, I will still like move my toe. And that's okay. I'm still able to be completely mindful and actually in very deep meditative state while moving my toes. And it gives me that little outlet As someone with, combined ADHD, I do like to move. Um, but, there are ways that you will learn to develop your meditation practice or your mindfulness practice that suits you and that makes sense for you, given depending on your ADHD type. Um, and so that's more of like over the course of time, you figure it out, right? What works for you and what doesn't work for you. So like I said, when thinking about ADHD and how to be mindful and how to incorporate mindfulness and meditation, it's really just starting small. It's really looking at, things that you have used, tools that you have used in the past, even to help you focus or be present, like doodling, for example, or walking, right? Walking helps you focus because you're doing a task. So doing these things while you try to get mindful and you do it in short bursts, that's like a really good way to launch your meditation and mindfulness practice if you have ADHD. From there, you can move on with your practice into things like breath. There's many different kinds of breaths and breathing practices. The traditional is, of course, in through the nose, out through the mouth. There's square breathing. There's many kinds. But the very first thing you have to do is really just try to get present. And that's what I would say is my biggest tip for those with ADHD.